Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is titled Growing Apart in Life. As we get older, we often find ourselves in different places than those we used to know. In our 20s, we're not just figuring ourselves out, we're figuring out where we want to go. We think about careers, buying a house, and maybe starting a family. Life feels like an arrow pointing in every direction, like the signs in The Wizard of Oz. When you start moving forward, some people might feel hurt because they're still standing still. They don't realize that as we grow, our paths can diverge. Growing apart doesn't mean we care any less. It just means we're on different journeys. For me, I've come to understand that I no longer have the time or energy to maintain relationships that don't feel real. Whether it's in friendships or family, I need connections that encourage me to be authentic. There's so much to figure out in life, but I don't understand why we get mad at each other when we drift apart. Why do people feel resentful as we grow? Just because we're moving on doesn't mean we don't care. For me, growing apart signifies personal growth. It's not that I don't want to work on relationships, it's that I won't invest in something that feels inauthentic. There are relationships where conversations become surface level. You find yourself talking about old shared interests that no longer resonate. It's exhausting to keep pretending to connect. I can't force conversations when there's no real interest on either side. Some people might think that if we're not talking all the time, we must not care. But sometimes, the most caring thing is to let each other live our lives. My grandmother once mentioned how her friendships changed after marriage and kids. It's a natural progression. Life evolves, and so do our relationships. If I decide to focus on my creativity or business, I can guarantee some people will question why I'm not investing time in our relationship. They might feel abandoned, but it's not about that. It's about seeking authenticity in my connections. I'm not saying I don't have time for anyone, I just don't want to work on relationships that don't feel genuine. If we can't have honest conversations about where we are in life, then what's the point? It's not about who's moving on to bigger and better things. It's about leaving behind what doesn't feel right. When two people are at the same job or in the same situation, it's not about external factors, it's about the desire to grow, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. I'm not talking about financial success. I'm talking about the ability to address past issues and not sweep them under the rug. With some people, conversations feel like World War III. They let tensions build until there's an explosion, and then they'll address the issue. I refuse to take responsibility for that kind of drama. I won't carry the weight of someone else's inability to be honest. When dealing with passive-aggressive individuals, it's a no-win situation. If they truly knew me, they'd understand that their tactics don't work. I pick up on the underlying issues almost immediately. I can only be friends with those who can engage like adults. I'm not claiming to be better than anyone. I simply recognize when a relationship no longer serves me. It's okay to feel bored with certain dynamics. I can still care for people while acknowledging that I don't need to hear from them daily, or even yearly. I wish more people would embrace honesty. It's rare to meet individuals who offer the kind of straightforwardness I do. If you can't value that and reciprocate, then what's the point of continuing the connection? I pride myself on being honest about what bothers me. I'm open to discussing issues and moving past them. But those who let problems fester only to explode later? That's not a relationship I want. People who function that way may wake up one day wondering why everyone else has moved on. And honestly, that's sad. I'm not perfect, but I know that communication is key in any relationship, friendship, love, or otherwise. If we can't communicate openly, we risk stagnation. I refuse to rehash the same relationship problems year after year. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step away, allowing the other person to reflect on their own life and choices. It's not antisocial if you're simply anti-bullshit. Thank you for listening to this episode of Moore's October Rants. Until next time, take care, and goodbye.